And the one thing I hear the most from everybody when I say, they'll say, well, what are you using? I say, well, I'm using Kemper. And they go, oh, yeah, I'm an old school guy. We're all old school guys, man. I'm an old school guy. I love the Ampegs and the Marshalls and stuff like that. But again, it's like when you can get in and you can fine tune this thing and learn how to operate it, it's going to sound old school.
Welcome to the Kemper family. Tommy Henriksen with Alice Cooper.
Chuck Garric, bass player for Alice Cooper.
And we are out here to show Thomas and everyone what we're using right now, Chuck and myself.
Yeah, we're in Hamburg, Germany right now, and we're excited to see Thomas and talk about what we're doing here on this tour with the Kempers we're using, and just how excited we are about our tones.
And it's been working out really well. I'm using right now, I've profiled a bunch of my Marshalls that I had, but what I really wound up with was this Top Jimmy guy. You guys are probably familiar with him. Makes really cool stuff. And I wanted to use an Angus Malcolm tone. And I took his profile that he made, and I put it in a Pro Tools rig, and I put it into the AC/DC stuff, and then I tweaked it a little even more. And that's what I'm using tonight. So it's just his profile with a bunch of my tweaks that I did to it.
Yeah, and I love your tone, by the way, Tommy. It sounds really good, and the effects you're using as well. It's really good stuff, you know?
You know what the thing is, too? I'm really only using, like, the way we're using it, it's almost like just using a Marshall with a pedal, with some stomp boxes. So I have one tone, and I have the clean channel, just the same tone, but it just rolled down in distortion. And I have a chorus pedal that I need, and a phaser that I use on some of the other Alice stuff, and a delay. That's it. And then I got a lead channel which just boosts a little bit. So it's kind of like having a Marshall with a couple foot pedals.
Yeah.
But the tone's the same every night. That's what's great about it.
Yeah.
Like, we don't get up there and it's like, what happened to the fucking tone? You know? But it's been very consistent.
Very consistent,
Yeah,
which is
exactly.
important, which is the reason why we loved Kemper so much. I mean, it's the consistency. I've used Kemper as a guitar player for my band Bisto Blanco on tour throughout Germany and Austria and Switzerland, and they were just one of the most reliable pieces of gear I've ever had in any rack I've ever used. It was like we just talked about, consistent every night. So we made the change this year to Kempers for the Alice Cooper show, and I think it's the first time I'm using it for bass guitar. So I profiled one of my old Ampeg SVT2 sounds, which I loved, but ended up using a profile that somebody else made for me, which was an Ashdown amplifier, which just, for me, I've got 3 guitar players up on stage. It was really finding that frequency that kind of fit in between everybody, and was handling those frequencies in that end of the song. So for me, what I loved most about the Kemper was the versatility. If it wasn't there with the one amp, I knew I could find it with another one. I also noticed that any type of adjustments you do with the Kempers, it's like it's immediate. Like you hear it immediately. And I too am just using the remote as well. And I have an octave on songs like Feed My Frankenstein. I'm using a chorus pedal for songs like Steven and Dead Babies, and then I just use the traditional bass tone for the rest of the rockers. And I'm also using a fun little pitch shift pedal for Billion Dollar Babies and Muscle of Love. If any bass players are out there and you're familiar with the song Muscle of Love, there's sort of like this weird bendy sound. I'm not even quite sure what instrument it is, but works perfect on the pitch pedal. And so again, it's just having the versatility. It's all in there. Everything's in there, and just got to get in there and mess around and have fun.
Using bass-wise, what are you using?
I'm using Thunderbirds, Gibson Thunderbirds, and I'm using a Epiphone Thunderbird as well, and they just sound monstrous.
And I'm using SGs, you know what I mean? And 335, I got a Palermo in there also. And the other thing that I like, the reason why I have a toaster and a rack, because this, I could see, you know what I mean, the knobs, you know what I mean, because my eyes are terrible. So I could be like, okay, cool. That's kind of what it looks like right there. And this one is the only thing I can't see the. You know
it is a little bit more convenient to have that as well.
Yeah.
So
and we use this on the record too. So it's pretty funny. It's like
they're all over the latest Bisto record, as well as I'm sure the Vampires record as well. So it's really awesome.
And you're running them direct, or what are these?
Nope, we're going direct.
Marshalls?
Well, these are all powered.
Yeah, the Marshalls and Needed Marshalls.
Yeah.
Needed plays Marshall.
Either.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And me and Chuck are playing the Kempers.
Yeah.
And we're just very happy with it. I mean, I got no complaints, man. This guy also got to turn it on. Between the Kemper and the Evertune, it's like you don't got to do anything. It's awesome.
Just change the strings every once in a while.
See, look at his face. Thomas, get his face. Look at him. He's like, really?
Brian,
Yeah, Brian.
the tech who does nothing apparently.
Tech does nothing. Exactly.
No, this is the thing. I love
You know-
busting these balls because it's just like it just makes everything like easy. You know what I
Well-
mean? So he doesn't got to, you know what I mean? Like it makes his job easier.
Well-
Even though you got to.
Well, think about it. You know, I mean, they don't have to deal with it. The consistency is what everybody
Yeah.
needs to understand, which is such an important thing because we are venue to venue, arena to arena, and it just sounds different. Everybody knows this. So with when you're using in-ears and you have this amazing piece of equipment that you know what you're going to get every day, and that's important as a musician. And as somebody who wants to, have a good performance, you know you can rely on your tone.
Yeah.
It's not going to change. No power issues, nothing. And I just think that it's just been a game changer. And the one thing I hear the most from everybody when I say, they'll say, well, what are you using? I say, well, I'm using Kemper. And they go, oh yeah, I'm an old school guy. We're all old school guys, man. I'm an old school guy. I
Yeah, me
love
too.
the
Yeah.
Ampegs and the Marshalls and stuff like that. But again, it's like when you can get in and you can fine tune this thing and learn how to operate it, it's going to sound old school. Trust me, I see it on their faces after the show. They're like, hey, I'm going to look into those Kempers. You know that.
Yeah, it's been working well. You know what I mean? Because it is pretty much what we're using as a Marshall, but it's profile.
Yeah.
You know, but it's consistent.
Yeah.
And you don't got to change the tubes and worry about the power and voltage and all this other stuff.
Yeah.